Okay, I've been removing a lot of the old work here that I don't want to use, and this resistor that looks like it was burnt up, well, it's actually okay. It's 18 ohms. May change it when I get the set working, just because it has been really hot. The way this circuit works, the rectifier goes to that resistor, back out to pin 3 of the 25Z6. And then this choke that's mounted on the chassis, it goes between C3A and C3B. So I have it hooked up. So I'm going to turn it on. Let's see if we have any voltage now. And there we go. I got the variac on 106 volts. We have 134 volts DC, so that's good. And no leakage, no AC. And according to the voltage chart here, we should have 130 volts on pin 3 of the 25Z6. So I don't even have the tube in the socket, so you put that tube in, that B plus there will drop down, hopefully to where it should be. So we're going to do some more removing of parts here that they put in and try to get this circuit back to where it was when it was original. This sandbar resistor here that's all broken apart, it still checks okay. What they've done, they've pigtailed two there together to come up with 1,000 ohms. Resistor right here, R105. It's 1,000 ohm, 2 watts. So I'm going to just put a 2 watt, and it goes between A and B on that filter cap at the top right there. Okay, I got most of this old work. That's those parts right there out, and I'm pretty sure I have everything hooked back up the way it should be. I've got the 6X5 rectifier plugged back in, the 25Z6 plugged back in. So we'll see what happens now. I'm going to turn it on and see if we have our B plus like we did a few minutes ago, and then we'll check our tubes to see if any of those are lighting up. Well, ran into a problem. I have my voltage come to the 25Z6 pin 3, but noticed that there's nothing coming out. Could not get this tube to work. Here's why. Whoever's been working on this TV has broke off or cut off pins 3 and 4. That's the 2 pins that double the voltage going into this 6X5. So that's not going to work. I don't have a 25Z6, so I have ordered a couple of those, so it'll be a few days. Well, we're going to need that 25Z6 tube, so be a day or two on it. But I thought before I quit for the day, I'm going to check some of these electrolytics and the paper caps, see how many of them check out of tolerance. I'd like to get the set on and at least get some type of a raster on it, and then if that works out, I'll go ahead and change all the paper caps. There's several of them to do, as you can see. It's loaded up with them down there. And there's a few up here along with the electrolytics. And there's 3 electrolytics in cans right there. So plenty of caps to check, so that's what I'm going to do next. Check all of these paper ones first. There's several of them, probably 10 to 15 I would say. And we'll see how they check out. Written down the list of the caps I'm going to check. This first list here says electrolytics. That's all of the electrolytic caps. There's 9 of those. Multiple sections on 3 of them if I'm not mistaken. So, and then this is all the paper caps I have listed here with their value and their voltage rating. And what I'm going to do is just go through here and check each one. If they're close to what they should be, I'll wait until I get the set working, and then I will be changing all of all of those paper ones. If we get the set going, before I say it's a finished job, I always like to change those because they're paper with wax on them and they will fail. Well, kind of a bummer. I've checked all of these paper caps and only one has checked bad. It's C53 and it's in the sound circuit, so that's not critical to trying to get the set back on. But these two, C74 and C80, they're in a high voltage supply bottom. And there's a high voltage supply right there. So I've loosened the circuit board and it won't come out enough for me to tip it up and check them. So I'm going to have to remove this shield all the way around it. And it's got 4 nuts in the bottom of the chassis that hold it in. So I'm going to get that out and then we can check those last 2 caps to make sure they're okay. Those would be pretty critical too because they're in the high voltage supply. So we want to make sure they're okay. Took those 4 nuts out and I got the high voltage section flipped up here where I can get to it. Those are 2 caps right there, those 2. I'm going to check them, make sure they're okay. Right here where these 3 wires go through the chassis, I think that needs a grommet. So I think I'm going to get a grommet and put it in there before I put all of this back. You can see this one has one, so I'm sure that was supposed to have had one because you got 3 wires going through a metal hole. I would think you need them insulated. So I'll do that and then I'll put this back and we'll proceed. Got a little curious when I had this apart here. You notice right here, it's like a wire has been twisted together and repaired. I was expecting the worst, but in the parts list here, here's your sweep transformer, which is T3. And the primary is 33 ohms. Secondary 1 is 650. Secondary 2, 2.5. Secondary 3 is 0. And luckily, all the secondaries and the primary all check good. So that's a relief. Hopefully we've got a good transformer, even though it has been repaired. And it won't hurt anything as long as it works. Transformer checks good. So I'm going to bolt this back down to the chassis where it belongs, and we'll keep on trucking. There's a new grommet I have to put in that hole cut in the metal chassis. What I'll have to do is unsolder these 3 wires going over to this terminal strip, run them through the grommet and solder them back. So that'll makes me feel a little better to do that. Got the new grommet in there and wires soldered back, so that takes care of that. I do have a new one for it, so maybe I'm gonna go ahead and change it too. What the heck? Well, I think that was a good decision. All right, 2 new grommets, wires soldered back, so now we'll put the high voltage section back in the chassis and get it all tightened down. Got all them caps checked, and everyone checks good except C1, which is a 2-section 350 volt. And I think it's because there's a lot of wires and circuitry hooked to it. So I may unhook each terminal there just to be sure. I was kind of glad these that say John MECK on them. There's 4, I think there's 3 or 4 of them. There's at least 3 right there. Yeah, that one doesn't say it, but these 3 that have John MECK on written on them, they all check good. Those two and that one. So I'd like to try to leave those in there just to show the name of the TV. That's pretty neat to have the name of the set on the caps, like Zenith and RCA did, and Philco, and all the different brands. So that does that. I think the last thing I'm going to do today, while I'm still waiting on that rectifier tube, I'm just going to go over these resistance readings on each tube, just to see if something jumps out at me as being shorted or something like that. But I'll do that, and then I'm going to be done for the day. Hopefully that tube will be here tomorrow, and we can see if we can get this thing to work. Well, power to set on, and I do have a raster, so that's encouraging. I was checking out some more of these 7 JP4 tubes that I have. That's why I don't have the original tube hooked up there. I do have a raster, still have all the original caps in the set. But I do have low high voltage. When I check it, it's not what it needs to be, so I'm thinking those high voltage caps are probably bad. They check good on my cap checker, but unless you have a cap checker that'll put thousands of volts into those caps to really test them, they'll check good and then they break down when the higher voltage hits them. Here too, I've changed several resistors, just have them temporarily tacked in to try to get the set going. A lot of them in the horizontal circuit check bad. All of those check bad. They've all drifted. Most of them checked higher than they were supposed to be, by a lot higher, so they've all went bad. Had one go bad here, and I bridged 2 together to come up with a 4.7 meg. But once I get the set going, I'll change all of them to individual resistors and make it look better. So I think what I'm going to do today, I'm going to go ahead and change all these paper caps. Another interesting thing I found on these high voltage caps, look at that value. It says 0.05, and all 4 of them are the same. Well, that's not the right value. You look on the schematic, C73 is a 0.005, and C72 is a 0.005. Same in the vertical. C68 is a 0.005, 67 is a 0.005. They have 0.05. So that's not going to, that's the wrong value. If you look on the parts list, you see C67 is 0.005, 6,000 volt. Same for the others. There's C68. And C72 and 73, they should be 0.005, 6,000 volt. Here's all the parts of either taken out that was put in, didn't belong, or that are bad. Well, we're making some progress. You can see I've got a picture on the screen using my waveform generator. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.